Lucky Akter is a former student activist who works closely with the peasants movement in Bangladesh. She is a central executive member of the Bangladesh Krishak Samity, which is the Bangladesh Peasants Union, the oldest and largest peasant organization in the country. She's also a central member of the Communist Party of Bangladesh. She will be speaking on the struggle of peasants, especially women and their rights in Bangladesh. Comrade Lucky.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, perfect. Please go ahead.
Oh, yes, thank you very much for giving me a chance to speak something about it. Yes, I'm working with the peasants now, so I will just give a brief overview about our peasants movements. And you know that agriculture is the main source of employment, which is providing our livelihood about 40% of our total labor force. But we should say that while services account for a similar percentage of employment, there are an amalgam of many heterogeneous types of activities, and no single activity is responsible for much employment except perhaps transport services. Thus, agriculture still we think that the largest sector in terms of employment. The other indirect contribution of agriculture is to provide basic raw materials for industrial processing. Immediately, jute comes in our mind, for an example, as a product of agro-processing industry. And our agro-processing industries are totally dependent on agriculture for basic raw materials, which include rice, sugar, tea, etc. What I will discuss about some problems is that one of the major problems what we face in our country, that is the land administration system in our country is not well developed, and it is beset with multiple defects and problems. And what we say that it is corrupt, inefficient, in some cases, and unreliably, it has some systematic weaknesses. And the corruption has given a grave issue in this sector. And you know that in our country, the crimes, most of the crimes and corruptions in our country take place land-related services. And it is an estimation of some research that about 3.2 million land-related cases are pending before our judiciary, and a large number of people who are not getting justice, and this is one of the major problems what we face. And one of the major issues what we are facing, that the identification and management of our cash land, that means the state-owned land and water bodies, and the distribution of the same as to the landless or the poor people. And in our country, the retention of such land water bodies by the landless or the pertinent rules and practices within the prevailing social, political context of our country. So another problem we face, that is actually a very big problem in our country, that is the land grabbing of both rural and urban land with domestic actors. So as Bangladesh Krishak Samity, what you say that Bangladesh Peasants Association, what we are working, we are trying to amendment some laws, such as the State Acquisition Act or Vested Property Ordinance, or which were some of the laws which we have inherited from British colonial time, such like as Bengal Tenancy Act or East Bengal Non-Agriculture Tenancy Act. This type of acts still is there, and we want to amendment this type of laws, because these laws discriminates against in some cases, such as the women to get the rights of inheritance or ownership and control of property. And we think that it must be repealed and ownership rights promoted for women. And this type of co-ownership in land is very essentially needed, because it is one of the major problems. We have slogans in our organization that save the farmers, save Bangladesh. We say if farmers survive, then Bangladesh will survive. because you know that it is our all-time struggle that in nowadays we are working because that the farmers are not getting the profitable prices for his paddy or anything he produces. And we are urging that the government must procure paddy directly from the farmers through the establishment of the government purchase centers from the union level, and they must reduce the prices of agricultural imports. This is one of our major concern. And they also allege that many farmers have become farm laborers and losing their land due to the wrong government policies, wrong development policies, so-called in the name of development policies. The people, especially the farmers, they are losing their lands. They are feeling the crisis, and the crisis of peasant is the crisis of entire population. And you know why we should say that of course the paddy rises, the price of the paddy is declining day by day, and the government is totally dependent on the import. So we are fighting for that, and we think that the public and the country will experience a severe crisis due to this agrarian crisis. So we want to active our government BADC. We want that many women, they're just like working as a laborers, but they don't have any power for decision making bodies. They are becoming the independent farmers, although we are fighting to get the recognition of women as a farmer. And women in the rural areas, often in both formal or informal barriers accessing their own land. So this is what we are fighting for this, because we are echoing this demand. But we know, Krishak Samity know, as it is our we have taught from our May Day that without organization, this type of rights cannot be achieved. So more and more work is needed. And if we become united, as it is the most very important sector and one of the unorganized sector. So we need to organize it through various ways. It can be in our struggle, through our arts movements, and everywhere we have to speak out, because we know that they are the main voiceless. And I will conclude with a song which is very much related with our peasants' rights. Hope you will enjoy. I'm taking just 1 minute. Oh, 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 hey samalodhan ho kasteta daushan ho, hey samalodhan ho kasteta daushan ho, jan kobul ar man kobul আর দেব না রক্ত দেব না ধান মোদের প্রাণ হো, এই সামালো ধান হো কাস্তেটা দাও শান হো, এই সামালো ধান হো কাস্তেটা দাও শান ও, জান কবুল আর মান কবুল আর দেব না রক্ত দেব না ধান মোদের প্রাণ হো, চিনি তোমায় চিনি গো, জানি তোমায় জানি গো, সারা হাতের কালা মাহু তুমি নাই, জান কবুল আর মান কবুল আর দেব না রক্ত দেব না ধান মোদের প্রাণ হো, 50 লাখ প্রাণ দিছি মা বোনেদের মান দিছি, কালো বাজার আলো করো তুমি না, জান কবুল আর মান কবুল আর দেব না রক্ত দেব না ধান মোদের প্রাণ হো, মোরা তুলব না ধান পরের গোলায়, মরব না আর ক্ষুধার জ্বালায় মরব না, ধার জমিতে লাঙ্গল চালায় ঢের সয়েছি আর তোমরা সইব না, এই লাঙ্গল ধরা করা হাতের শপথ ভুলব না, এই লাঙ্গল ধরা সারা হাতের শপথ ভুলব না, জান কবুল আর মান কবুল আর দেব না, আর দেব না, রক্ত দেব না, ধান মোদের প্রাণ হো। আর দেব না, আর দেব না, রক্ত দেব না, ধান মোদের প্রাণ হো। So this song means that we will just work for that, and we will organize our peasants so that they can just live, they can get their rights, because they are this type of crisis is going on day by day. But we want to abolish this type of operations, so we need to be organized. So thank you, comrades. Great salute.